Hello and welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review time. Tonight we got Airfix's latest release. This is the 1/72 scale RNLI Shannon Lifeboat. So again, really nice to see this one. We saw the big Atlantic class, I think it is, many years ago, and it's a really nice kit. And for somebody who lives near the sea and spent a large amount of time on it as a hobbyist and things like that, I can definitely understand the love for the RNLI and the amazing work they do, and the volunteer force that, you know, basically risks their lives every single day to make sure that idiots like me on boats, not that I've ever had to call them, keep safe and come to our aid. And just knowing they're there sometimes is an absolute godsend. And if anybody's ever used them for real, you'll know that orange boat coming towards you must be one of the best sights in the world. Anyway, as we can see, what we've got down in here is the Shannon class, which is obviously the sort of second largest in the fleet, I do believe, before they sort of move down into the more sort of inshore lifeboats and things like that for the ribs and things. So again, very nice to see this one come along. And again, it's really nice that Airfix have got behind and backing them. And it does say down on here that a minimum of 90 pence from every single kit sold does go to the great work the actual RNLI does. So very nice to see this one. So this one is a starter set. At the moment of doing this one, it's the only one you can do. To be honest, the most interesting thing I want to know is that if you get the orange color in the set, or do you have to sort of mix it yourself? But anyway, what we've got down in here is a beautiful little kit indeed. So all the information is on this, as you imagine. It's a bit sort of blister pack vibes. So again, we've got the color call outs down in here. Looks like it comes on a nice stand as well. We've got nice decals that goes right the way through. This thing's around about 19 centimeters long and around about sort of 6.5 centimeters wide, and it's got 54 parts with it. And it does say it's got a number 18 in here, so perhaps it does come with the actual colours. Apart from that, down here on here, there's not really a lot to talk about with this one. Your kit number for this one is ASS015. All right. So again, funny little number for this one. We are going to need a knife because I haven't been in here yet. So we'll just slice our way in. Pop in. As always, we've got one bag, and then we've got, oh my lord, we've got the obligatory brushes. And why is it they always lose their caps? Now, I know a lot of people hate their brushes, but you know what? I actually quite like them. They're great for weathering. So keep the brushes. And I can see down in here, we have got the orange colour, which is as close as what I'm going to use to do it. But we have got the orange colour down in here. So just before we get into the kits, I know this is probably the most asked question I've been asked. Something else in here, 2 lots. Have I got an accident, or does it generally come with 2? No, it must come with 2. So down in here, you've got number 15 for the actual hull, type of blue down on here. We've got number 18 for the orange, and we've got 2 in here, so that's quite nice. We've got a white, we've got a black, we've got a couple of metally colours as well. So we have got everything for doing the deck and the railings and all the bits and pieces. So to answer the question everyone's been asking me since this kit got released, yes, you do get the orange. I was dreading the thought of having to mix it, but no, they've actually put the right orange in here. If it's the right orange, is a different matter. To be honest, it doesn't look day glow enough to me. It looks just like orange, but again, I might stand corrected, having not painted or sprayed. And to be honest, I wouldn't be using anything in here at all. Even the blue is a bit more sort of nostalgic. But for a starter set for the kids, you know, again, if you want me to speak honestly, I really wish they would come along with decent paints that kids could use that would work, because kids get so frustrated with these starter sets and these types of paints, because let's face it, they're akin to poster paint. And they never go on as well as, like, obviously you might hope. I think it'd be better off with enamels, if anything. But anyway, I digress. So, with all that said, brushes, stick them in my pot. We've got the actual instructions. So we've got obviously you've got the little cheat lights down in there as well. We've got a before you start and all the rest of it, which is pretty much standard for the starter sets. We've got all your warnings and your bits and pieces down in here. So here you go, crew of 6, range 250 nautical miles, top whack, obviously on a very calm day, 25 knots. And again, it's got the actual real length of this thing is 13.6 meters. It's got a beam of 4.5 and it's got a draft of 1 meter. All right, so very nice indeed. So starting off with, as you can see, we're going into making it a stand, and it's really nice it's got a stand for it, and it's a good stand as well. So again, it is this thing that sort of locks together the way it goes, which is quite nice. So we've got that one going in. Then we're working with a lower hull, so we've got 2-part hull, and obviously we've got some braces and formers going in there to make those up, and then obviously some of the other parts needing to be removed. It's just pointing them out down in there on the sprue. Then we're into it. So again, we're putting on the top half, and obviously the seats are molded in, I presume. We've got the thrusters going down in here at the back, so we've got those being fitted on board, and then obviously down in here we're into it. So again, it's showing it's all being painted orange first before you get it going, which to be honest is probably how I would do it. All the key parts of it being fitted down into this one, all the rest of it going down in there. I've got a one-piece glass part that's going to fit just down in there, and again it's pointing out some of the yellow areas which are obviously going to be down inside, and obviously it's pointing out this is where you're going to be gluing. So it's not painting it yellow, it's just the glue mark of where it's going to be. You're probably going to glue this and stick it to it, but obviously it's just giving you a little bit of a thing down in there as well. So then down in here, it's talking about the glue lines as well, where you're going to need them, but I would just dob and dab into the actual locking devices as it sinks down and in. So that's quite nice. And then obviously down in here, we've obviously got the little fins on the bottom down in there as well, being fitted onto it. And then obviously we've got some of the railings and various bits and pieces on here as well. So obviously we've got the little lift hoist and various things being fitted down in here, so that's quite nice. Rest of the railings and grab handles being fitted down as well onto the side, and those all going down in there as well. And then we've got the rear railings being fitted and whatnot, which is all very good. As you can see, all of these being fitted in as well, going right the way through, as you might imagine on this one. There's plenty of those ones. We've got the radar mast and all the communications bits and the lights being fitted down onto this one. More aerials and masts being fitted down in as well, and with those, and then onto its stand at the end. So it's not too taxing, it's not too bad of a build. I think it'd be absolutely fine with all of that. Then we don't, you know, if you want to know about it, wash with soapy water the parts. Crikey, there's a blast from the past. All right, and again, talking about how to make a model in 15 easy steps. If only it was that easy. Okay, so decals, basic, but we're all there, pretty sharp. The carrier film is pretty much non-existent, which is quite nice. Carrier film obviously on the RNLI bits and things, pretty solid. Looks to be a nice texture these days, bordering on glossy satin, which is pretty what we're going to want on this one anyway. So yeah, very, very nice with that. Then into our bag of plastic. So we've got one bag. I'm not even going to mention that, because every time I get flamed when I say about one bag and loose bits flying around in it and all the rest, so I'm not going to bother anymore. Needless to say, we've got loose bits flying around in it. We've got the clear parts. Again, so we've got the hull. We deal with this first. So again, let's have a look at the hull first. So as you can see, really nice actually. Good, clean, crisp, strong, strongly moulded. Got your part numbers on here, B4, B7. In there. I'm looking on the inside because you can obviously usually tell what's going on from the inside rather than the outside. Generally though, that's quite a complex line to get that correct and all the rest of it. Looks damn good to me. Very nice, can't see anything wrong with that. And again, we've got little tabs in here instead of sort of locating pins, so that should lock together a little bit nicer than anything else. But luckily it's a seam on the bottom. There's quite a large seam here. There's a little bit of meat for it glued together, so hopefully that's pretty good. Plus the fact it's on the bottom and I don't want to see it. Just saying. Oh, we got some stress marks in here. Crikey, did I have trouble getting out the mould? I think you can see that, but that took some fight because that's actually a really thick piece of plastic. So it's obviously fought with trying to get that out. I've got a seam running across here. Actually, I think this is a panel line from the difference in the rubbers as it goes through, but obviously something's caught on that particular one. Generally though, nice texture on the floor. It's almost got that anti-slip to it in the scale, which is quite nice. The hatch covers on the rear for the engine looks pretty darn good as well. Seats are basic, but you're not going to see it when it's inside anyway. But the surface detail and that sort of rubber ring all the way around it looks pretty darn good. I assume this is a sprue point and they've just snipped it off, so a little bit of clean up down in there, I think, and you'll be golden. All right, so again, parts are marked as well. It's B11. We've got the main housing here, or sort of the wheelhouse area. Again, nice, good, clean, sharp, single molded, part number in it, which is B16. Looking very nice as well. Again, forward little hatch, got recessed and raised details all over it, which is nice. We've got raised riveting up here on top of the sort of wheelhouse as well. Yeah. Actually, it's not too bad at all. It's good, clean, sharp, crisp, nice details. Little tiny ones, like these little tiny little bolt heads just down in here. Obviously from the inside, something would bolt to it that's got that thing where it said about it glued the part on to it. Obviously that's what those bolts would be bolted to in real life. And again, so that's quite nice. Generally, that's actually quite a complex shape as well. It's not a straightforward shape just to pop out of the mold, but it's done it beautifully. No problem at all. Zero flash, I have to say. That's looking pretty good. So this little guy, only because I want to know, fits down in here just to see how this goes. Yeah, unfortunately, we have got a little gap in there. Probably see that down in there. I don't know quite why it's a little bit. You've got one on this side as well. That's a little bit disappointing. You see, you've just got that little bit of a gap, and again, tiny little bit of a gap on here. What I would prefer to see, instead of this being flushed down in here, step it. Just step it back. Even if you come in a little bit, then step it. So that way, this flush edge, you don't end up with a groove on the outside. And when I first saw it, I thought, that's going to have a groove in it and be really annoying. But you can see, hopefully, if you get enough little bit of extra thin down there, you'll weld up that gap, but you can see it plain as day. And it's just one of those ones that just annoy the hell out of me. More down here, to be honest, because it's a big one going on down in there. You can see it. So, yeah, it's one of those where it's not a biggie. It's not going to be a breaking, but you can see it. And for the sake of just stepping these in just a little bit, so it's got a little bit of overlap onto it, then you don't get it. And so, never mind. One of those ones. We can live with that. We are modelers. It's what filler was invented for. So, some more of the parts down here. We've got 3 sprues. So, as you say, we've got the thrusters at the rear for your engines. Put the screws on that. We've got some of the various internal parts. We've got the bulkheads as well down in here for the hull. We've got the door, and again, raised and recessed details all the way through. Again, consider it's quite clunky because obviously it's a starter kit and it's a basic kit. Really nice detail, really sharp, fine detail on this. Again, clearly done. So very nice sprue, or as they're now calling it, look, it even says frame B. Posh. And then this one, and this is what worries me when you have no separate bags. So I know I'm going to bang on about it, but this is lucky it's all in one bit. But if you get a sprue and it catches on these, which it's likely to do, let's face it, then you can end up breaking them. If it was in a nice little separate bag and everything was protected, it wouldn't matter because it's not bashing up against something like this. All right, so again, you get something like this and it just like hooks underneath in here in the bag, and before you know it, you've got broken railings, or worse still, you've got bent railings and you're going to have to try and straighten them out. That's why I'm picky about this stuff. That said, though, what I do like, there's very little burring. So burring, as we speak about before, is the sandwich of the mold, because obviously it's like 2 bits of metal come together. This doesn't have any as such. It's got a little bit. Usually you can tell by on here, because this is obviously the exaggerated version on the actual sprue. If it's got a seam line on it, you normally find a seam line on your items. But actually, no. There's a tiny one. I'm not going to say there isn't, but it's not as bad. It's not like they're slightly out or there's a bit of a gap and you end up with a bit, because otherwise you have to clean it all up and make it look nice. This one, I can honestly say I don't really see it, so I'm quite happy to go along with that one. So again, but here we go. Classic example is like these. I'm sure that it should be sort of loose and all the rest of it, but I'm just worried about these things breaking when they're not in a separate bag. Last up, we've got this little guy down in here. So again, this gives you an idea of the size of this. This is that bottom display, little sort of rack for it, if you like. So that's quite nice. We've got the parts for it. I quite like it because it looks like it interlocks the way it is. It looks like it's mechanical and metally and all the rest of it. Large whip aerials, things like that, as you might expect all the way through. So actually, that's Sprue A looking very, very nice indeed. So yeah, quite happy with all of that. Last up, we've got the clear parts, and I'll eat my hat if these aren't clear, because let's face it, Airfix over the recent years have sort of perfected clear parts to be nice and clear. And there we go. Wow, really very nice. Look at that. Little finger test. Do the fingerprint through that. That's really good, clean, sharp, crisp. And also it's nice, it's one piece, so we've got no multiple windows to go in. It's just going to be like a car. Just click fit up into it and we are good to go. So again, you can paint all of this first, get it all done. Once it's all painted nice, then you're going to come up, you're going to pop this down on the inside, and you're going to have beautiful windows as well into that. So again, tip my hat, really very nice. It's something Airfix have got right and got better and better and better at. And to be honest with you, now they're clear parts, I never usually worry about them at all. Gone are the old days when they were horrible, like frosted glass, or they used to have mismolds and seams and stuff in them and really nasty. nowadays they're pretty much spot on. I have to say, you know, I'm a little bit biased, as you probably heard at the beginning of this one, because of the subject matter, but the kit itself lends itself very well. My only drawback is this thing with the sort of wheelhouse bits onto here. I just wish it didn't have that step, because once you've seen it, it'd be one of those ones you think, oh, I won't worry about it. And then you'll know it's there. And as us modelers alike, we then stare at a model thinking, wish I'd done that. And this is going to be one of those ones where you'd wish you'd done it. So, but again, it does fit. It's a nice, good, solid fit into this as well. And I like the way that this glass work. Paint it all first, then pop this in afterwards. No masking, no mess, no nasties or anything else like that. So from a starter kit point of view as well, this is great. So if you've got somebody that's new to modeling, you want to get the kids involved with it, this is nice subject matter as well. You can talk to the kids about the great work that this particular vessel does and its job and its role and things like that. Get them inspired, get them interested, show them some YouTube stuff and things. And then that way they can go off and build a kit and they can put this together pretty good. I don't think it's going to fight you too much on this particular kit at all. So again, I have to say, hats off. Beautiful little kit by Airfix. Can't fault them. I'd like to, but I can't, unfortunately, in this particular case. So there we go. That's Airfix's lovely little 72nd scale RNLI Shannon class lifeboat.